Hello, everybody. Hello, happy Monday. Happy Monday. Let's just make sure this is streaming properly. We have 13 concurrent viewers.
There we go.
There we go. Splendid. Well, look at this. Happy Monday. Let's just make sure this is streaming properly. Is the sound going? I think the sound's going. There we go. Well, hello, and everybody, and welcome to our third online rehearsal of the second lockdown. Most exciting. So lovely to see everyone here already, and all saying hi to everyone. Just had a little bit of computer problems, so that was why it's just slightly late. So apologies for that. So there's a couple of things before we start singing tonight that it would be good just to talk through with everyone. Although you can't talk back, but I can talk to you, and then we'll end slightly early, so can come along to the Zoom session and say your thoughts on that from the Zoom session. So the first one is obviously the rehearsals and what the plan is for rehearsals. So Bronwyn sent out an email last night gauging interest in going back to rehearse when we're in level 2, not level 2.5. So there were a number of people who said, yep, we'd be happy to do that. There were some people who felt more comfortable coming back in level 1. So that's absolutely okay. So what we're going to aim to do is, for those of us who feel comfortable rehearsing in person, we will what we will do is look at coming back together the Monday after the announcement that we're in level 1 proper. So for example, if on this Sunday, the 6th, it gets announced that we're going into level 1 proper, then the Monday after, so the next day, we can go back to rehearse for reals. So that's obviously still in level 2. So what we'll make absolutely sure is, for those who don't feel comfortable with rehearsing in level 2 and want to wait till level 1, we will work out a way to live stream that rehearsal so you can still join in. So it's not a case of you're not going to be able to sing because you haven't been at the rehearsals, because you'll still be at the rehearsals because they'll be live streamed. So just want to make that clear. For choral singing in level 2, there's no obligation. If you're feeling sick or ill, don't come. We don't want spreading that around. But we'll make provision for those who want to keep joining in but don't feel able to join us in person. So we'll make sure that will happen. So I'm sure there will be more communication around that in the coming wee while. And we wait and see what the announcements are with bated breath. Until then, though, we're now allowed meetings of up to 10. So what we can do in the meantime, and this is entirely within the guidelines of what NZCF have released, and it's well within the guidelines of the COVID-19 response, is we can have sectionals during this time, but in-person sectionals. So what that allows us to do is we'll still have the online rehearsals with everyone on Mondays, and then for sectionals we can go off and sing together. So if within soprano 1s, 2s, alto 1s and 2s, and then we're possibly okay with the tenors and basses if they want to meet together. But if there's any keen beans that want to volunteer themselves, I know Jenny already has volunteered herself for a SOP 2 sectional, but within the altos, I'm sure Bronwyn will happily volunteer herself for an alto 1 sectional, but SOP 1 and alto 2 if there's anyone, and then tenors and basses, if there's anyone who would like to volunteer themselves to put together a sectional, then please email myself and Bronwyn, and we can then send that out and get that organised and get that underway. I think it's going to be quite nice for people to sing together again, even if it's just within the section. And I know from the last rehearsal, the week after one section had a sectional, I noticed the difference straight away. So it really does help. So that's the rehearsal process. We're still hoping for the concert on the same date. Obviously, we have to be a little bit flexible with, one, the date, two, what that concert is going to look like. Will depend on where we're at with this whole coronavirus business. But we're still aiming for a concert on the same date. I think ploughing ahead has served us very well for the last concert and not getting caught out with this lockdown. So I think we should plough ahead nonetheless. So that's a lot of the rehearsal stuff. The next thing is equally important, is over the weekend we were sorting out all of our music, and we finally got all of the music up on the bookshelf. It's not categorized or organized, so it's all over the place. But I picked out 2 pieces of music just to look at here. Oops, just hit the microphone. So 2 pieces of music. One is Rutter's Requiem and one is Rutter's Gloria. There we go. Rutter's Requiem and Rutter's Gloria. And I thought to myself, well, what would you call the title of a concert where you are only singing Rutter? So it's the title of a concert where you're only singing Rutter. So you've got until the end of the rehearsal to come up with your best ideas for a concert title that's only Rutter. So start putting those in the live chat, and then we'll do a straw poll at the end of this as to who has got the best concert title. So rehearsal to come up with your best ideas. There we go. So the sound is working. So put those in the comments section, and I don't know, the prize is the knowledge that you've got the best puns. Rutterly gorgeous. Oh, straight in there with a cracker from Kylie. Anyway, so that's that. So let's do a little bit of a warm up. So if we stand up. Oh, let's tilt this up a little bit. Here we go, and then let's do. Stop typing your comments now, because it's time to do a little bit stretching. So, and stretch up, and over to one side. Well, this is awkward. We've gone in different directions, and over to the other side. And then up, and then down, and touch your toes. Feel the stretch, and then bring yourself up. And roll the shoulders back. And then big mouth, small mouth. Big mouth, small mouth. Big mouth. Ah, ah, that's as big as. And then warm your cheeks up. And your eyes up. And your forehead. And your ears. And warm your head up. And then warm your head up. But pat it, and then warm your belly up as well, and then do it the other way around.
Oh no.
And then your arms, one arm and then the other arm, and then down to your legs. And then let's reach up and go up on tiptoes. And then we have no landmarks on our walls. We're kind of staring at nothing, so it's hard to hold the balance. And then bring yourself down. And then bring your arms down. Round to the side, not round to the front, because you want to have a nice, good posture. And then a nice big breath in. And in. And out. In. And out. And in. Out. So we're going to go in for 4, out for 16. And in, 2, 3. There we go. I timed that just about right. And then we're going to go in for 4 and then out for 24. So again, it's different, it's slightly different amount of breath. So we've got to control it. So by the end of it, we're just coming out. So and in, 2, 3. I was struggling at the end there. Congratulations if you kept going. And then now we're going to go. Managed to break the piano stool, so I have to careful I don't fall through the piano stool, which would be a little bit awkward. We're going to go humming. So we're going to go slide 3 times and then do individual notes on the last time. So 1. That's an E. That's an R. Plenty high enough for me. Oh, I'm not a tenor. It's a bit hard. The idea behind that is I'm going to have to not look at the comments because I keep seeing really good puns and it's going to distract me. The idea behind that, again, is we're trying to link up and make the super legato notes. So for things like in the Lauritsen, we want to where we have different notes, but it's a very legato line. We want to get that idea that the sound and the vowels always going, and it's not ha 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 ha. It's ha. So it's one line, not individual notes connected together. So then let's go to Te-er, because that's always a good one. Oh. I'm sorry.
The piano in here is so quiet.
There we go. Now try and let's do the second one, 2-0-or. But with the sound really high up in the no, actually no, let's do it really far forward. So 2-2-2-2. So really as far forward in the mouth as you can. 1, 2. Now back to te-ar, but as far back in the mouth as you can, like so as far back as you can. 1 and so the idea there is that we're trying to think about where the sound is in our head. Good. Well, let's find the Tippett 5 spirituals. So our printer at work is broken, so I had to go print it on another printer, and I've got it came out as a booklet, but an A4 booklet. So this is A5, so it's really tiny for me to read, but that's okay. So, little bit of context here I think is useful as little bit of context. So these spirituals come from Tippett's epic work A Child of Our Time, which is written I believe around the World Wars. And Tippett, as an absolute pacifist, was like, nah, not gonna do it. And he wrote the libretto as well. And if you go away and listen to the whole piece, it's quite, it's quite a shocking one. There are such movements with lyrics as burn down their houses, beat in their heads, break them in pieces on the wheel. I remember that vividly, singing that at uni, so that stuck with me for a while. But interspersed within this massive, absolutely massive work are these 5 spirituals. And what they are is they're kind of like how Bach used the chorales in his Passions, is they provide a little bit of commentary on it. So they use the same melody, but Tippett did the arrangements for them. So the harmony is not too dissimilar to what you might already know or what you might expect, but they're a little bit interesting. So if you don't have the score, I sent the link with in the email. So we will have copies. Robert is doing copies for you, so please don't feel obliged to print them. It's just I can't use this computer to look at the music here, but also as a camera. Otherwise, you'd have a very unflattering picture of me head on. So Robert will have copies for you. So we'll start with Steal Away. So here we go. So Steal Away. There's one thing as well that I'd like to just point out for all of these all of the spirituals, is there's often essentially two melodies going at the same time. And if we look at the first line and the last bar, we kind of see that coming in. So it's homophonic. Steal away, steal. So it's all together, homophonic. But then Jesus, we start to hear the kind of the idea of two melodies. We get so we have Jesus, and then we also have Jesus, oh, so what's going to be very important when we get back together is that you stick with the part of the choir that you're singing with. So there's a bit of split stuff, but for example, altos and basses would be super tight together with Jesus, oh, steal. So it's just something to look out for throughout when we're looking at the music.
And making sure you're reading the right line, because there is soprano and tenor solo at the top of
very important.
Page 4.
Very important. It's when you get the copies to go through and make sure you are reading the correct line.
It's not always clear.
It's not always clear. So we'll start for the very first page. Sight reading as a choir via YouTube. Who'd have thought it at the beginning of the year? 2, 3, and. Good. So before we carry on, we'll just look at a little bit of things here. It's all about the line. Starts off pianissimo, and then by the second bar of the second line, we're at a forte. So something even right at the very beginning. It's good when you're still scrabbling around for notes to start looking around the notes as well and what's there. So let's go back again and do the first page before carrying on. 2, 3, and. Tenors and basses. So let's look at that bit there. Let's look at that bit there, because that's a little bit tricky. So we have there'll be a tenor soloist who's going, "My Lord, he calls me, he calls." So don't worry about doing that. So we're having tenors and basses going very strongly on. They're doing this. My Lord calls me. my Lord calls me. And if you're a soprano or alto, feel free to sing the tenor solo, just while we look at this. So 1 and.
My Lord, he calls me by the thunder.
Then we have tenors and basses going. The trumpet sounds within my soul. So it's very defined. Tenors and basses, you've got the melody there. And then altos and sopranos on. So ha ha ha, ah ha ha ha. So again, it's this idea about two melodies. So from the trumpet sounds, 2, 3, and the trumpet. Repeats. Green trees are bending, porcina stands a trembling. The trumpet sounds within my soul. My hands not long to stay. And that's where the spiritual ends. So the last time through, there'll be a bit more of a writ to say, this is the end. So what you've got to make really sure is, I would thoroughly recommend the recording on the Spotify link that I sent. That recording is by a choir called The 16. And I've looked, I can't find it on YouTube. Bit of a shame, because it's honestly, the 16 as a choir appeal to my sensibilities as what choir should sound like, but as a learning tool, they sing it with minimal operatic vibrato. They sing it very precisely because they're a typical English choir. So as a learning tool, it's very easy then for you to go away and listen to that and try and pick out your part. Things to look out for when you're doing this is there are soprano solos. There is a soprano solo in this. There is a tenor solo. So don't hear, especially for the sopranos ones on the ah ha ha ha, because when you hear this with everyone together, you hear. So there will be a soprano on the top going. So don't get confused with that. Lovely. Steal Away is a rather lovely spiritual. So we've had a look through that, and it will be a case of just going away and having a little listen is going to help. So next, let's now look then at Nobody Knows, the next spiritual along. So again, it is a tale of two melodies. So tenors and basses. Let's start with you because you got the easy part here, or easier part, because you have the melody. So, awkward thing is right at the very end. Nobody knows like G. Nobody knows like G. So that D is a lot lower than you might think. You might be tempted to go, nobody knows like G. So it's not the broken chord, it's knows like Jesus. So that's one thing to look out for, because I played the wrong notes and I'm not even singing it. The next thing is, again, we're going to look around just the notes, even though we're sight reading, is it's PP. So it's not nobody knows the trouble I see, Lord. Nobody knows. Whisper it. Nobody knows the trouble I see, Lord. Nobody knows the trouble I see. So it's slightly whispered. So PP, but let's just have tenors and basses. So 1, 2, 3, and nobody knows the trouble I see, Lord. Nobody knows the trouble I see. Nobody knows the trouble I see, Lord. Nobody knows like Jesus. Tenors and basses, relatively easy. Now the counter melody is sopranos and altos together. So you get so no. So sopranos is a bit easier. Altos is a little bit more tricky. You get 1, 2. Together we have 1, 2, no. 1 and 1. Oh, ball smash. So let's do that in time now for the sopranos and altos, and I'll count so I don't play out of time. From the beginning, sopranos and altos. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So that's a little bit more tricky. A little bit more tricky in terms of rhythms there. So let's do sopranos and altos again. Slightly slower this time. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. No. So this is tricky, isn't it? So we have 1, Lord, Lord. A little bit tricky, but that's something to go away. So let's try and put that together. Everyone, just the first page. 1, 2, 3, and. Cool. Then we go over the page. again, so this is, look out here. So the top two lines are soprano and tenor soloists, not choir. So we get 1. So tenors on the bottom line are going, open others. Altos. And then sopranos. So we end up with 1, 2, 3. That's where we end up. So just sopranos, altos, and tenors. Again, so 2, 3, 4, 1. 2, 3, soprano. So, and then at the end, after all of that, you've got through all of that. Satan away, Lord. And we're back to what we've already done. So let's go. Page 7. Page 7, and I'll play in the solo line. This might help us here. 1, 2, 3, and. Do that once more again. So sopranos and altos and tenors, you're out of time with the melody. So don't try and sing with the melody. You're a beat later. Oh, brothers. Oh. So that's what we're aiming for. So from the beginning of that page, 1, 2, 3, and. That's the end. That's the end of that. It does repeat. It goes, oh brothers, and then it changes to oh mothers. But it does repeat. So I think what's probably going to be useful for us to do is to play that right from the beginning. Go right the way back to the beginning. And do that all again. It will probably be helpful, especially for the sopranos and altos, to maybe put in the beats above. So the non-elegant way of doing it is to write 1, 2, 3, 4. The elegant way of doing it is just to put in a little downward line. So I might demonstrate here on a particularly awkward one. So you're at 1, da, 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 da. There we go. So you can see here, although it's very, 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 I have only put in the beats there. So I haven't written 1, 2, 3, 4, because then you're going to be maybe counting 1, 2, 3, 4 and concentrating on that. It's up to you. Whatever works for you, do that. So let's go from the beginning. 1, 2, 3, 4. Cool. So that's one that we'll just have to kind of sing a little bit together. So before we carry on with the second half of the rehearsal, charge your glasses. There's not much wine left. Yeah, do you need some more? No, you're good. Okay. Just gonna. This microphone is fallen down a little bit today. It's getting in the way. And it is what is on the bookshelf today. Well, I know exactly what is on the bookshelf today. For this week heralded the start of BBC Proms. This is the BBC Proms' guide to great choral works. So obviously not the proms that everyone was expecting, and I'm going to be interested to see what comes of the last night of the proms. What with all of the pajazz that was going on with the works that were traditionally sung at the last night of the proms. But this is the BBC Proms' guide to great choral works. So I don't know if my dad is watching. I don't believe so. He's not.
Made himself known.
He's not made himself known, which he often does. But he might be able to, or someone might be able to post a link to where to look at and watch the first night of the proms, which was most bizarre. So it was a chamber orchestra that were spaced far apart, and they were playing, I think, Aaron Copland's Quiet Cities, which to an empty Royal Albert Hall, which I don't think has ever been more pertinent. Yeah. So let's look what's in here. We've got Allegri Miserere, Bach, all of the usual suspects, Magnificat, Mass in B minor, and the Passions. Beethoven, Mrs. Solemnis, Berio Coro. That is quite the piece, if you know that. Fair bit of Berlioz, Bernstein, Chichester Psalms. A piece here that is well known to this choir is the Brahms Requiem. Bruckner, various masses here. What else in here is particularly exciting? Gosh, Ligeti Requiem. That would be exciting. All of the microtones indeed. So anyway, BBC Proms. So interested to see. Very sad that it's not going ahead in its usual form. So let's carry on now. If there are any questions, please type them in. But for now, we will carry on and look at any questions at the end. So now we're looking at Go Down Moses. And here is a perfect example of, again, you've got two ideas going concurrently. You've got the sopranos and tenors going Go down Moses way down in Egypt, and then Egypt in Egypt land Terod Pharaoh. And then the other idea, we got 1, 2, go down Moses. Oh, anyway, there's two things going. It's hard to start reading in isolation. So let's all look then at Go Down Moses from the beginning. 2, 3, 4. Right, let's just look at that first page again, and I'll try and make a complete less of a hash of it. Again, we go from PP to forte in the space of 4 bars, and then back down again to piano for ferro. To let my people go is a crescendo then.
Mm-hmm.
So let's go down 2, 3, and. Oh, it gets very, very difficult to sight read. So, sopranos, you have the melody.
But not the top line.
But not the top line. The top line is for the soprano soloist, who's going to be going. So it's going to be like, anyway, you don't need to hear me doing that. Let's just look then at tenors. 3, 4, 1. Go down, Moses. Go down, Moses. Way down in Egypt land. Tell, Lord, so that's a bit jammy there. Then let's look at altos. 1, 2, 3. God and Moses, God and Moses, in Egypt land, Terod, Pharaoh. Here's a perfect example of why it's good to write in the beats, because you've got pretty much no notes on the beat. Let's look at that again just for the altos. 2, 3, sorry, not helpful counting in. 1, 2, 3. God and Moses, God and Moses, in Egypt land, Terod, Pharaoh. So let's put tenors and altos together. So from tenors, 3, 4, and. Very jammy. But the idea here is you have a counter melody to the sopranos and basses going go down Moses way. So sopranos and tenors have got it easy. Oh, let's go from the top of that page. 2, 3, and. Yeah.
Okay.
You sing. I can't play all the parts, so you have to sing. 2, 3, 4. So then we have. Sorry, I couldn't turn the page quickly enough. People good. So let's just look at this. So the tenors and altos have an idea of what's going on here. So back to page 11, we have 1, 2. So it's not always on the beat. Ba 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 bum bum ba 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 bum ba 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 ba. Let my people tell of Pharaoh. Bum da 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 ba da ba da da da. Let my And there we have come back to the whole choir singing. So here we are at page 13, bottom line, first bar. And this should look fairly familiar to the tenors and altos. Basses and sopranos, you've got the melody, so we'll leave you to sing the melody together. Tenors and altos, go down, 1, go down. Sorry, I got that wrong. 3, 4, 1. So it's super awkward and angular. So let's just look at the tenor line again. 3, 4, 1. Go down, Moses. Go down, Moses. Way down in Egypt land. Tell Lord Pharaoh to let my people go. Altos. 1, 2, 3. Go down, Moses. Go down, Moses. In Egypt land. Tell Lord Pharaoh to let thy people go. Put everyone together from Go Down Moses. Sopranos and basses. Big strong lead on the melody. 2, 3, and. strong to the end. Good. Good. That's one that doesn't really make sense when you're by yourself. That one does need that. By and by, we're going to skip just for now. We're going to go to Deep River. So again, Deep River has got the soloists in. So we're looking at the bottom 7 lines. So it's 4-part, and then it splits into 7-part. But again, what you've got to think of is it's not really 7 parts. It's just maybe 2, 3 at the most ideas that are going together. So, for example, tenor ones and soprano ones, bottom line, you're going, Lord, 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 Lord. Whereas soprano 2s and altos and tenor 2s and bass 1s are singing the melody. Whether or not we actually do those splits, we might have all sopranos singing the counter melody. We'll work that out when we're back together for balance wise. So anyway, right from the beginning, Deep River. 2, 3, and... Cool. So we lost the first soprano in this room. So let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning of that line. For Deep River. 3 and... Where are you going from?
I was going from the top.
No, I was going from the second line.
It's all too hard.
It's all too hard. We're going from the beginning of the second line. Okay. Everyone, we're going from the beginning of the second line. 2, 3, and... Page turn issues, sorry, carrying 3, 4. Good, so let's just look, if all sopranos and all tenors, let's just look at this counter melody. So if all sopranos and all tenors go back to the first page, second line, 3rd bar. So 2, 3, and... And then altos and first basses are singing, Lord, Lord, I want to cross over into campground. Lord, I want to cross over. That repeats, that's pretty easy. And then second basses are going, River, river, full smash. From River. I got that rhythm wrong. Lord, 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 Lord. So do it the rhythm that we ended up singing, the one that's marked. Then we have, carrying on from where we got to, we've got a question. The first altos, you're all singing the same line. There's no difference between alto 1 and alto 2 here.
1, 2, 3. The fourth line down.
So you're singing the first,
Fifth
second,
line.
third, fourth, fifth line down. So you can tell that. You can tell that because the where are we here? So the just as an aside for score reading, the soloists are bracketed together here, and then the whole choir is bracketed together here, and then each individual, each part is then also sub-bracketed, so the sopranos are sub-bracketed within the choir. So it's just a little bit of thing, and when you're comparing that to, I don't know, do you want to pass the Rite of Spring, or Tristan and Isolde?
What is that?
So when you, if you ever get the opportunity to do any orchestral work, when you're faced with that many lines on a page, you get quite quick at reading. And Jenny's quite right. It is quite difficult to read on the phone.
On a small score, like
I'm trying to read it on an A5, so I pity. I don't envy you, Jenny, having to read it on a phone. But of course, Robert is our amazing librarian, and he will do that. I know what's on the shelf today. Robert, I hope you're watching. It's my music from concert 1 that I found that I didn't give back. Robert, you're going to be so excited. Anyway, let's skip on actually, because that bit's a little bit difficult to play. Actually, no, it's not. No, it's not. We'll look at this. So,
What page?
this is page 22. Page 22. So we have. Got to try and do a page turn in with this as well. So here it's is the tenors and basses, and then altos and sopranos are going. So let's do that slowly. 3 and 4 and once more. So make sure you're reading the correct line. You don't go up to. That's for the soprano, for the soloist. So 3 and 4 and. Sorry, I'll try and play the right notes. It's quite hard to page turn. Carrying it back to go back to the same place. So 3, 4. Why'd you stop? Why'd you stop for? 3, 4. over into Lord, I wanna cross over into campground. Lord, I wanna cross over into campground. Lord, I wanna cross over into campground. Lord, I wanna cross over into Cool. So it'll be a lot easier when we are all together. And everyone's quite right. Susanna's doing a great job. It's not entirely easy to sing that all out of context. So that is 4 out of the 5 spirituals. By and by, I'm going to say that it is not wise for me to try and sight read that. So looking forward to having Janet back for those. So, are there any questions? While we look at see if there are any questions, I'm going to scroll through the list of and read out and go through the list of Rutter concert ideas, and then I guess Susanna can be the judge of and then I'll tell you mine.
I'm not the judge. I can't be the judge of this.
Here we go. So Kylie's straight in with Rutterly Gorgeous. Well, okay, so here we go. Kylie and David, juxtaposition right at the beginning. Kylie goes with Rutterly Gorgeous, and then David goes Dirty Stinking Rutter right at the beginning. So already, Ken's Ruttermania. Andrew's got a good one here, Stuck in the Rutter. Susanna's going Rutter on Rutter. What's the pun on that one?
I don't know.
I don't know.
It's more Rutter.
Felicity, a Flutter with Rutter. That's a good one. David Jenkins, Rutter Tut Tut. Rutter Mutter. Or is that Italian or Waikato? Bromwell, Strutter Rutter. Felicity, Bread and Butter Rutter. If anyone can come up with a composer that sounds like the word bread, then we're winning. Bread and Rutter. Rutter Strut, a Flutter with Rutter. Bugger. I don't know if that is I don't know.
A general comment, perhaps.
A general comment or a... I mean,
Bugger, it's Rutter.
That's not an unfair thing. There we go. Oh, so the ones that I came up with, were equally terrible, and they were Utterly Rutterly. I can't believe it's not Rutter. Rutter Fingers, and Landing Rutter Side Up. So anyway, I think we're all winners when it comes to that. So, there don't appear to be any questions, so unless there are any burning questions, thank you all for your hard work. It's going to be so much easier when we've got this in person, I do know that. But obviously it's a bit tricky at the moment, what with COVID and everything. So I think Robert will be in touch with how to do that, and maybe we'll be able to distribute the paper copies via
Bike courier.
via the what are they called? Via the sectionals. There we go.
Yeah.
So again, if you are keen to take a sectional, if you would like to take a sectional, please email myself from Bronwyn, myself from a musical perspective, and Bronwyn from an administratorial perspective. because then if I forget to reply, at least someone else has caught it. And then we can set those up while we're still in level 2.5. If you don't feel comfortable again with coming back until we're in level 1, again, that's absolutely fine. And we'll set something up so you can join in with that, whether it's via YouTube live stream or something from the phone. We'll work that out. So thank you all very much for your hard work on the Tippett tonight. Do go away and listen to it. It would be great. And I think from us, look forward to seeing you very shortly on Zoom. Thank you all very much and see you on Zoom. Bye bye.